Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Resistance Frontier. It's an honor to introduce the Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit, CDIS 2025, happening September 19 and 20 in Washington, D.C. under the theme Congo in the New Era of Global Competition. This summit brings together Congolese professionals and global allies to address key issues from entrepreneurship, healthcare to technology, infrastructures, and philanthropy. At the moment when Congo's role in critical minerals and renewable energy is more important than ever, with us today are the visionary co-founders of CDIS. Lukogho Kasomo, international business and policy expert, Laura Kupe, multilingual Anthony, and national security leader. Together, they are building a powerful bridge between the Congolese diaspora and the global stage. Let's begin.
Can you each share a little bit about your journey and what's personally motivating you to co-found the Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit?
Sure. I can start, Lukogho, and then of course I will give you the floor. So my name is Laura Kupe, and I am one of the co-founders of Congolese Diaspora Impact Strategies and the Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit. I am the later addition to the co-founding team. So Lukogho and our other co-founder, Jim Gokwe, are the original co-founders. And I am a lawyer by training, and I have worked in the US government at the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, Congress, and think tanks. And I met Lukogho at an event when we were working in Congress, more than a decade ago. And we noticed that whenever there were events on the DRC, particularly at the time, it was a moment where there was instability in Eastern Congo, that there are a lot of events that talked about the Congo but did not have the diaspora in particular at the table. And so something that I noticed, that I was looking for like-minded people, and Lukogho and Jim were those people. And they started CDIS in 2018 by having dinners and get-togethers in New York. And then the idea for the summit came about to particularly highlight diaspora expertise. So folks that work in business, philanthropy, and folks that have, sector-specific experience in whatever their talents are. And so that was the culmination of the first summit in 2019. And then we've alternated the summit every other year. So 2019, we had our initial summit in New York City, had a summit in 2021 here in Washington, D.C., back to New York in 2023, and now we are on our fourth edition, which we would love to tell you more about. But all in all, the summit and the network that we built is a culmination of noticing gaps and bringing the diaspora's various talents together to bring solutions on the ground in the DRC, but also to highlight in the countries that we do live in, say in the United States, to showcase that Congolese have technical expertise and a lot to bring to the table. So I'll let Lukogho add her 2 cents.
And thank you again for this time and for taking the time to learn more about the Congolese Diaspora Impact Strategies and the Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit. I'm Lukogho Kasomo. I am one of the original co-founding members of CDIS, and Jim Ngokwe, who's not here, and our third co-founder, he and I actually met at an Africa business event that was happening in Georgetown. And similar to kind of my introduction with Laura, we noticed that there was, a gap of spaces and places for Congolese professionals to come together. And so as Laura kind of gave a pretty good introduction of how we've come to be, that initially set off the idea of trying to convene folks on the East Coast. And then from there, we connected with other Congolese professionals that were in our network. Laura was someone that was, already in my network, and then kind of started trying to connect people and see where synergies matched in terms of folks who were interested in learning more about starting their own business, or who are already doing business and kind of doing the in-between, traveling between the US and Congo, or North America and Congo. And I'm originally from Congo as well. I was born there, but raised here in the States. And the other thing that we wanted for CDIS to be was a place that first, second, third generation Congolese, maybe folks who hadn't been born there or who have spent significant amount of time in the West, could have a place where they could learn about what's happening, in the country from folks who have similar profiles or who have also come from similar industries to better understand what the opportunities on the ground were.
Okay, that's a nice introduction. So just give me a little bit a view about your organization. Thank you for your time. So as I noticed, so the CDIS 2025, so will take place on September 19 and 20 in DC, with the program focused on critical minerals, energy, infrastructures, and technology. So what makes this year's summit particularly and significant?
Sure. I mean, this year's summit, one of the big things that we've been seeing, as most folks know, Congo has been in the news. It's been on a big priority in terms of from the US perspective. And this current administration has been talking a lot about critical minerals and critical resources that Congo has access to. And so we felt this was an appropriate moment for us as Congolese to really capture and to kind of talk about what's happening on the ground and to really connect people who are working in those spaces and who have knowledge in those spaces to be able to bring their own expertise and lend their expertise as Congolese versus kind of having this narrative which has been pretty much directed by the West and by other folks outside of the Congolese space.
What does this year term Congo in the new era of global competitions mean in particular terms for Congolese people in the diaspora? So why you pick this term, if I can be just in short?
Yeah, so kind of to what I was mentioning earlier, Congo has been brought to the global stage again. And Laura mentioned she worked in Congress. I also worked in Congress. What we saw kind of early in the stages of our career, there was a lot of conversation at that time in the early 2010s about Congo and about what was happening with critical minerals. And then kind of like a lot of things, it fell off of the news cycle. But with the incoming new administration, and as we're seeing kind of another technological boom that's happening, Congo is again being brought to the global stage as an important and key factor. And we felt that it was necessary and critical for us to make sure that we highlight Congo's new emergence and also opportunity. We also know that the space is shifting. And so one of the big things that we're focusing on, in addition to kind of our normal theme around business and entrepreneurship, is really talking about kind of advocacy and the geopolitical space, because we have seen over the last 5 years, the way in which people have been talking about Congo and advocate for Congo has changed drastically. We also have, new spaces in terms of like utilizing social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Threads, for example. And so these are all new mediums and ways in which we have been bringing Congo to the global stage.
So, Laura, you have something to add?
No, I think Luko, captured it brilliantly. But also, I think with the signing of agreements and between the United States and Congo that clearly have gotten the attention of a lot of us, is another key reason. And I think it shows the importance of, especially those of us who are in the diaspora in the United States, to be engaged and to learn what's going on.
Okay. So how will this upcoming summit will stand out from the previous one? So how will it be like a special for the participants?
Well, I'll start, Luko. So I think the biggest thing about this is it's bringing together a collective of expertise and folks that typically probably may not be in the same room. So it'll be, especially with the DC crowd, so folks that have maybe the geopolitical background, but you'll get to network with folks that are in business, entrepreneurship, especially when it comes to folks that have businesses that lean on newer technologies like fintech or just using e-commerce. And I think the other unique thing about our our summits is it's intergenerational. You'll find, in particularly, our target audience has been millennial and Gen Z diaspora, but of course everybody's welcome. And I think especially when it comes to Congolese spaces, you may not always find that. You might find the older people on one side, the younger people on the other, but it'll bring everyone together. And it will also just in general provide the opportunity to learn and to be essentially in community with each other, because I think people are always in their own corners, maybe based on the sector that they are in. And then also I think, especially if you think about the diaspora in particular, it's very diverse. So we have folks that you live in Illinois, we live in DC. Yep. I grew up in Michigan. Lukogho grew up in California. And then of course, within Congo, people's families are from different parts. So it's the opportunity to build new networks, to learn from each other. And then also there will be people who are not Congolese that are participating as well. So it's also people that are interested in learning more from us in particular about what, as Luko mentioned, the opportunities are, but also the realities on the ground. So it brings together this very unique collective, and again highlights the talent and the expertise that's within the diaspora. Unless, Luko, you have anything else to add?
No, I think you captured it very nicely.
Okay. So you mentioned that so there'll be like a Congolese and the other nationalities, those who just willing to attend. So my question is, for those who want to attend, so what is required so to participate in this upcoming summit? Is it open to all, or there are specific registration steps and the criteria, or like everybody can come in?
Sure. So obviously, for us, we are targeting the community, but we see the community as more than just Congo and Congolese folks, which is why we included the diaspora. We know that there are folks from all over that are either African or part of the international community, or even a part of the West that are interested in learning more about the DRC. And so all folks are welcome. And though our target tends to be millennials and Gen Zs, that kind of mid-range professionals, we have had folks from all over the board that have attended in the past, and we welcome everyone to attend. In terms of how one can actually participate, we will share the link. You have to purchase a ticket, and there's two kind of ticket options. We have the summit, as we mentioned, is on the 19th and the 20th. The 19th is a Friday, is kind of a kickoff to the summit, where we're going to be having a fireside chat and some networking and happy hour. And then on Saturday, that's kind of the all-day event. I will say, though, there is one specification. Unfortunately, for the Friday event, you have to be 21 and over. But other than that, everyone else is open.
That's good to know. So my next question is, the critical minerals and energy are the heart of global competitions today. So how can the Congolese diaspora play a role in ensuring Congo benefits equitably from the demand?
That's a great question. Critical minerals and how, especially the diaspora, can be involved in making sure that whatever agreements come about benefit the Congolese people. I will speak through the lens of being a Congolese American and being a US citizen. I think something that we can provide as the diaspora, and also I worked in Congress, just as Luko and I mentioned earlier, is to use US lawmakers, with whatever discussions they have with the Trump administration or with the Congolese government, ensuring that whatever agreements come about are, ethical, abide to US laws and US standards, and that also with whatever partnerships come about, that the investments also include investments in the Congolese people, including building, talent pipelines, education, providing, healthcare, services to those who may be employed by US companies. I think those are some tools that the diaspora could leverage.
Thank you, Laura. So we still start with the summit. the flyers highlights the entrepreneurship, infrastructures, and technology. So which sector do you see as most urgent for diaspora engaging today, and why?
So I'm going to be controversial and say all three, if I can cheat, Junior, because I think they're all very important. I think especially, but I think probably in terms of how I would rank them, I think technology is a big part of that. So even the reason why Congo is front of mind, I think, for the US government or a lot of Western companies is the demand for, Congo's critical minerals to power a lot of these new technologies like AI. You cannot do that without minerals from countries like Congo. And then also you cannot avoid Congo when it comes to supply chains in particular, or at least some countries may try to avoid Congo, but in all reality, you cannot deny the strategic importance of Congo. And so I think that will be a big part, especially talking about the geopolitical piece. But I think also something that we have seen within the Congolese diaspora, whether they are in the United States, Europe, or across Africa, or even in Asia, is a lot of the diaspora uses technology, either through WhatsApp or, trying to transfer money, things of that nature. Technology has been a critical tool in terms of how the diaspora has stayed connected to the Congo. And also, this ties also to the entrepreneurship piece. You have a lot of folks in the diaspora who have businesses that rely on technology, whether it's developing apps to transfer money, or any other types of services. A lot of, especially I would say millennial diaspora, are very much interested in merging entrepreneurship with technology. And so that is kind of why I said all three. And then finally, infrastructure is very, very important because you cannot use technology unless there's infrastructure. And as we know in the Congo right now, internet connectivity or electricity in some parts of Congo is an issue. And so you cannot really talk about technology or powering technology without talking about infrastructure. So I think that's very much a topic that
is very important.
They're very interconnected. And I think, especially with the infrastructure piece, we have a lot of folks in the diaspora that have training that are engineers, computer engineers, engineers being broadly from, mechanical engineers, electrical, you name it. And so I think there are also a lot of diaspora, whether it's younger or even older, some people's parents are now retired, they could go back and teach classes and things of that nature. So I think there are a lot of opportunities to be very collaborative in all these areas.
So many young Congolese professionals in the US and abroad are willing to go back to contribute in the Congo development, but they don't know where to start. So what message do you have for them? So for those who they have like a eager, so they have the willing to go back, like we say, go to give back to the community, but they don't know where to start.
Yeah, no, I think one, it's a personal question and what people are willing to do. Some people have different obligations. I think for me, for example, I know, for example, that there are some individuals who may think they need to move back, others don't. So I think the biggest start, is go visit, go first, and then see where you want to plug in. For some people, that may result in a permanent move. For others, it may result in folks doing philanthropic or community service events. So I think it's one, you just have to go and see things for yourself and then see what sector or what area you want to plug in. And the great thing about the CDIS network is you will find a variety of diaspora who've done it all. People who moved back, some people who've moved back and come back, folks that have only been based here, but definitely want to maybe invest in other diaspora-led businesses, which I think that's another good thing about the summit is maybe you could find investors for your project, or even if people have projects or companies in Congo, this is also a place where you could recruit some talent. So that is another benefit of coming to the summit, because you're going to find folks working in different sectors. But I think the first step is go see Congo for yourself and then decide how you want to, to support. And I think for everyone that will be a personal decision.
Thank you very much. So from your own experience in the US policy, business and national security, so what lessons are most relevant to Congo's path forward?
Yeah. And sorry, Judy, I forgot to mention also, because Luko mentioned that she was born in Congo. So I actually was born in Germany and then moved to the United States when I was 9 years old. So also, I think the other great thing about our network is you'll find people from all over, and also it shows you how big our diaspora is and where everybody was born or maybe has ties to. So I think the biggest thing, also as someone who's worked as a US government official, is I think from a US government standpoint is, I think it's important for whoever is a Congolese politician or private sector leader, or even a civil society or nonprofit leader, is highlighting, what is their vision for Congo, so that, if you're a US government official, you kind of know what to expect. If there's not a clear vision about what, that leadership's vision is in terms of a key sector, or its relationship with its neighbors or key, neighboring countries, it can be very confusing on this side how to approach the political leaders in particular of that government. So I think it's definitely highlighting a vision for the future of that country, and also being consistent and transparent and accountable as well. Because if people see that you adhere to, you keep your word, that builds respect. So I think a key thing is, showing vision, showing leadership, and also showing not only respect, building respect with US government leaders, but also respect for, the Congolese constitution, Congolese laws. I think that builds a trust. And so, when I was in the US government, I worked a lot with European countries. And so you want to build a long-term relationship with US government officials as well, so that they know that they can trust you and that you keep your word. So that is something that I would say. And I think also on the US side, there is a big interest in building relationships with Congo. And I think this presents an opportunity, this very moment presents an opportunity to see what that relationship could look like for the future.
So I think we're almost at the end of the interview today. If you could summarize in one sentence, what would the participants, so for the upcoming CDIS 2025, what would it be if you can summarize? So the expectations.
Yeah, no, I think in terms of the expectation, one, this summit is just incredibly timely, because right now, especially if you look at Congo's relationship with the United States in particular, there's a unique moment to really talk about the latest developments happening in Congo, which does include the instability in the East, but also Congo's economic potential. And on the US side, that there is a strong interest in the DRC, because as Luko had mentioned, it has gone up, down, up, down. And so this is an opportunity where there's the opportunity is there to really talk about this renewed interest, and in how can the diaspora, with its experiences either as entrepreneurs, as experts in things like engineering or whatever they're working on, can be bridge builders during this very important moment of time. Especially on the US side, they are worried about China's presence in Congo. So I think this is definitely an opportunity to build relationships, to build bridges. And I think the diaspora is key in that. And I think also the final thing is the opportunity to network with each other. You get to learn about who's working on which projects or which companies doing what. And this is an opportunity to be collaborative, to build your networks, also just to learn, especially for those people that don't understand what's going on in DC in particular. So I would say that is the benefit of the conference and to dialogue, because I think, especially if you look at the attendees who are from the diaspora, there are not a lot of opportunities for individuals, especially who are professionals, just to gather and to talk about these issues. So we've always tried to be trailblazers and try something new, especially when it comes to the Congolese community in the United States. So please join us in terms of creating that space so that not only that we have it for this moment, but also for the future, because now in some instances, now we are 3-4 generations of the diaspora in the United States. And I think it's important that we maintain connections, not between those of us here, but also who are in the Congo, and see how we can make an impact in whatever way we think possible.
Thank you very much, Laura. It was a pleasure having you today. And thank you for all the information. We can wait to be in DC.
Yes, so please join us in DC, September 19th through 20th. Again, as Lukogho mentioned, this event is open to everyone, so hopefully we'll see many of you there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.